Hey guys, Curtis here. In this video, I just want to do a sit and talk a little bit in kind of a special for Evo kind of edition. This is a shirt back from 2010 when I went, and I haven't been back since just because I've been focusing on school and my professional career. And I'm unfortunately missing it again this year, so if you're going to Las Vegas, don't bother looking for me because I'm not going to be there. I will be watching from home. And with this special sit and chat for kind of the Evo edition, I want to talk about a few principles that you should go about and really breaking down 4 words. I'm breaking down what practice means, what training means, what playing means, and then finally, what is competing. The first off is what's practice. Practice is something I like to define as playing the game with things we already know. And it doesn't have to be a game, it could be guitars or bass, it could be a musical instrument. But what we're doing when we're practicing is we're sitting down with something that we've already studied or observed, and we're just going through the motions. We're building up the muscle memory, we're building up the decision-making skills for different situations. We are practicing these situations. And you can practice going either into practice mode like a lot of my videos do, or you can practice with a friend, which is very helpful because you're practicing what you know in a more real life, like low intense situation to really isolate and work on these things. And so practice is something that everyone should do to build up your muscle memory and just getting comfortable with the game. And that's why a lot of my videos I actually have it divided into one specific thing, because that's one specific thing that can be practiced in your live matches, and once you have everything incorporated, you will start building more and more abilities to climb up on the ranks. The second thing is training. Training is different than practicing. Training is studying new things or working on different means of doing something in certain situations. So again, if we're looking at guitars or musical instrument, when we're training, we are sitting down and learning a new chord progression. We are sitting down and learning even a new difficult song or a new style that we've never done before. Sitting down and really training our body to do hammer-ons and pull-offs, for instance, or slap bass, which is very different. But we're challenging ourselves to learn a new ability. And once we've studied it enough, then we can bring those skills into our practice to really reinforce those so we can actually practice and do well when we're getting ready to perform. And training doesn't just have to be in the physical space, so it's not physically picking up the guitar or physically playing the game. Studying can be the theoretical analysis of how something works. In music, there's music theory. There's a lot of people that know music theory forwards and backwards, but when they're actually handed a guitar or handed a musical instrument, they're unable to play it very well. But they know theoretically of what is supposed to happen. And usually these people become composers. They can write music and say, this is how it should be done, but they may not be the best players. And that's not true in all instances, but I'm just giving an example of training can either be theoretical or it can be in practice, in which you're actually doing something empirically. The next thing is playing. When we typically say playing, we're doing something to have fun. And so that could just mean like really messing around. Using the music analogy, we could just be horribly doesn't sound good at all, just stringing notes together, and we're just messing around, and every once in a while we'll probably hit a few chords that we know, or a few scales, or something of that nature. Same thing when we jump into Tekken or jump into another fighting game, that we're just kind of playing to having fun. You know, if we do something really wacky and it fails, we just kind of laugh it off because we're playing, we're having fun. And a lot of times this is what we do. We're out with friends and, hey, do you want to play a game? And really the majority of you are trying to win to a certain degree, but you're more there to have a good time and create memorable memories. Which then leads us to the final thing of being that one guy. And everyone knows what I'm talking about with, are you that one guy who, when you go out with all your friends, say, hey, come on, let's play a game? You're the one guy that's just there to destroy everyone. And that kind of brings us to the next step, in which you are competing. And if you want to be a true competitor, if you want to actually go out there and challenge and just be a force of reckoning, you are going to be combining everything that we just talked about. You need to be doing your practice every day. You need to be training every day. You need to even be playing. You need to have fun for that mental relaxation. And then ultimately competing, how we define it, is you're playing to win. And just to borrow a little bit from David Sirlin, I have his book here, the first edition hard copy book, bought it when it first came out. And he talks about his chronicles of being a competitive player. As I was also looking to be a competitive player and really be that guy in my playing circle, you need to learn from other people. The worst thing you can do is shut people's opinions out, especially when you're in this phase. Even if it's trash, you need to identify if some advice is trash or not. But a lot of times you're actually going to get really constructive criticism, and this book kind of talks a little bit about the mentality as well. This book also references kind of the art of war and what other books you should read, and no matter what sport you're in, there's always some theoretical backing that you can do and study and just work on it. This could be more philosophical work, this could be how-to guides, or this could be why something occurs. And this is a big fat copy with a lot of additions. I also have a little handy guide that I like to carry just kind of whenever, because these are always fun things, for me at least, to re-review and just re-isolate. And on my bookshelf back there in the top right section, that's all my chess books of either how-tos, my theoretical of like why chess pieces move a certain way or what theoretically chess openings and mid-games are supposed to do. My Go books are in there. I also have books on poker, blackjack, craps, and these are all theoretically of what we're supposed to do. It's a combination of how-tos. So a lot of the how-tos is like the super system, and the theoretically is the theory of poker. But no matter what you're trying to do, most of those books are designed to learn how to win, playing to win. And it's really a mentality that you go through. I do think that there's a lot of merit in just playing and just, hey, you know, I know you're better than me, but can we just play around? And none of you really take it seriously, and you shouldn't. You should never super gloat, especially if you're just playing. Tournament settings and like competitive settings, money matches, a little bit different of those mentalities, and that's when you're going to see the wide varying kind of distribution of personalities there. But that's kind of all I wanted to talk about a little bit today, of really breaking down these 4 aspects that are super critical if you want to start improving your game. And so we talked about practice, which is playing the game with things you already know, so it's reinforcement. We are training, we are studying new things or working on different means of doing something or achieving an end goal. This could be mix-up analysis. This could be just how do I maximize a combo damage. We talked about playing. This is all about just having fun, letting steam off, doing crazy, wacky things. And you're not really taking it seriously, but you're engaging in the activity, and a lot of times you'll find something really cool during this playing session of having fun that you go back and then you train something and then you practice it, and then it kind of goes full circle in which you become a better player, in which you're training yourself on how to play to win, which is the last thing, which is competitiveness of trying to just crush your opponent. That's all I quickly wanted to talk about. I guess the last thing that I wanted to mention, and I might talk about this in a lot more detail in a future video, in which the goal is not always to try to maximize your personal damage. A lot of times you can play to not lose, and that's an extremely different mentality, but it can still reach the end goal. But we'll talk about playing to win versus playing not to lose at a future time. I encourage all of you to watch the Evo pool play as well as the finals this weekend, which starts July 14th, 2017, if you're watching this in the future. And I know when I'm going to be watching it, I already have some metrics that I'm getting ready to document, in which I'm actually going to be counting and then hopefully breaking down some probabilities and just statistics that I observed, especially with the kind of the final 16. I'll probably track it. I won't probably track it the whole weekend. And if I find something cool, I'll make a video of it. If I find something uninteresting, you'll never hear about it again. So with that, go out there, watch Tekken, and what you're going to do is you're going to see very, very competent players play. And while you're watching it, I want you to think about what's going on. Think about how they went into a situation to maximize a combo, maximize a setup, or even just minimize damage dealt to themselves. Like, why are they making these? And if you're just sitting there as a passive player, I highly encourage you, you don't have to sit with your controller holding it at all, but especially if you see a throw break or something that you know the answer to, like you know the pure strategy to do, either verbally say it out if you're alone, or like just tap it out with your fingers just to start building up that muscle memory, because you can be practicing and training even without being in the game. The philosophical or the psychological effects of practicing at high levels, you're actually going to receive the exact same amount of training as if you were playing it. And there's been a lot of sports psychologists that have observed high-end basketball players with free throws, in which half the group threw free throws and the other half just thought about throwing free throws. But at the end of that study, both of them were about equal with how many free throws that they actually made in practice. Now that's at only the very high level, so I want you guys to sit down and really start building up this muscle memory, practice, train, play, and then finally compete. With that, we'll see you guys next time. Enjoy the Evo play.